So Minneapolis home prices just hit a record high for the 14th year in a row. Let that sink in. But why does it feel like the slowest Twin Cities market we've ever seen in decades? So that's what we're breaking down today. I've been in this market for 25 years, and what's happening right now is unlike anything that I've seen before. So let's dig into it. I'm not going to make this a mystery. It may sound hard to believe, but it comes down to one number. Roughly half of the homeowners with a mortgage still have an interest rate below 4%, believe it or not. That number explains a lot of what's happening right now. What we're seeing on the ground is pretty simple. These homeowners, they aren't moving. The reason comes down to pure math. Let's say you locked in at $400,000 for your mortgage at around a 3% interest rate. Your principal and interest payment is roughly $1,700 a month. Take out that same loan today at around 6.5%, and now you're looking at close to a $2,500 a month payment. That's almost $800 every month more on the same home. That's before taxes and insurance and everything else that gets added in. The Twin Cities make this even clearer. The typical homeowner here with an existing mortgage is paying around $1,300 a month. To go out and buy a similar home today, that payment jumps close to $2,200 a month. That's about a 70% increase. Not because the home itself changed all that much, but because the new rate changes the whole entire payment. Keep that in mind for later, because there's a window coming where all of this pressure could hit the market at the same time. Before we get there, you need to understand this. A lot of buyers and sellers have been waiting. At some point, both sides could start moving at the same time. Believe it or not, Freddie Mac even put a dollar amount on what that low rate is actually worth. The average value of a locked-in rate is about $55,000 per household, and that's serious money. Researchers at the FHFA found that this lock-in effect prevented roughly 1.7 million homes from selling in just 2 years. The main reason few people are selling is that moving has become extremely painful to their wallet. That's what's freezing things in place currently. Now the question is, what does that do to the market? Here's the thing. People hear slow market and they think buyers have disappeared. Well, that's not what's happening here. The market feels frozen because both sides slowed down at the same time. When homeowners don't sell, they don't list. When they don't list, buyers have fewer homes to choose from. Right now, in the Twin Cities, we're sitting with around 2 months supply of homes for sale at any given time. A balanced market used to be closer to that 5 to 6 months supply. So 2 months still means buyers are competing over a limited number of homes. Now this is the part that trips people up. More sellers have come back over the past year. New listings hit their highest level in 3 years, but buyers didn't come back at the same pace. And that's why prices still went up. The Twin Cities median sales price hit a record high, making the 14th year in a row of price gains in the metro area. When we get into what unlocks this market, you'll see why being ready before the shift puts you in a much better spot. But first, let's talk about who's feeling this the hardest. The first-time home buyer is feeling this more than anyone. The median age of a first-time home buyer in Minnesota now is over 40 years old. That is an all-time high. Rates have pushed a lot of buyers back by years, but staying put has a real price tag too, and it doesn't always show up where you would expect. So a quick note before we get into that. By this point, you're probably wondering what all of this means for your situation. Brooke and I work both sides of this market every single day. There's a quick form in the description right down below. Fill it out and we'll set up a complimentary strategy call. We'll look at the numbers and your timeline and give you a straightforward answer. Okay, let's get back into the cost of staying. You walk through your house and start noticing all the things that don't fit your life anymore. Maybe the drive to work used to be fine, but then your job changed. The layout has been bugging you for years. Or the repairs keep getting pushed off because something else always comes first. I don't want to be the one to say it, but a low mortgage rate doesn't fix any of that. It looks good on paper. It doesn't make the house work better for your lifestyle, however. We hear this all the time. Homeowners know the house doesn't fit anymore, but they look at the rate and they can't bring themselves to give it up. Here's something that surprises people. Homeowners are now staying in their homes a median of 11 years before selling. That's a record. People are staying because leaving feels too expensive. That's where the urgency starts to show up. Nationally, the typical homeowner now spends somewhere between $16,000 to $21,000 a year on property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and everything else, on top of their current mortgage. That's the cost of owning a home where it fits your life or not. Every year you stay in a home that no longer works, you're still paying that bill. The low rate, however, stays the same. The cost of living in the wrong house, however, keeps adding up. And that trade-off is real. For a lot of homeowners, it may have already gone further than they think. So when does selling still make sense? Here's what we tell people. Forget the rate for a second and ask the better question. What is this house actually costing me? Because life can move faster than that rate of math. A job change can make the drive too long. A house can start to feel too small. A major life change can make the old setup stop working completely. That's the thing about that locked-in effect. It can delay a move, but it doesn't stop it when the need gets big enough. Here's the good part. If you're moving from a bigger home to a smaller one, the math can change. A lower purchase price usually means a smaller loan. That means even with a higher rate, the payment may be closer to what you're paying now than you might even think. That's why downsizing looks different than trading up. The timing piece matters here too. The people who move before both sides of this market wake up at once may have less competition. That's true whether you're buying, selling, or doing both. Right now in the Twin Cities, there's also more room to negotiate in condos and townhomes than in single-family homes. So if downsizing is part of your plan, that's worth knowing. Then there's the equity side. If you've been in your home for 10 to 12 years, there's a good chance you've built up a ton of equity. Close to 1 in 3 recent repeat buyers paid cash for their next home after selling. For them, the rate wasn't the thing holding it up at all. They were making a life decision. If you've built that kind of equity, you may have more options than you think. So the question can't just be, what rate do I have? The better question is, what is staying costing me and what would moving solve? That changes the whole conversation. And the answer depends on what the market does next. So what unlocks the market? You can already see a few cracks in the frozen market. And the thing that breaks it open is pretty simple. It is all about the rates. Freddie Mac said the lock-in effect could start to cool as rates ease. That means more homes could come to the market, more buyers could afford them, and the whole market could start moving again after a long pause. The National Association of Realtors chief economist Lawrence Yun put it even more plainly. He pointed out that home sales recently hit their lowest level in about 30 years. Then he said, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. That light is the rates. When rates move, both sides of the market may move with them. A lot of people are only thinking about the listing side. They think lower rates will bring more homes for sale. That may be true, but lower rates can also bring more buyers back at the same time. More listings sounds good. More buyers mean more competition too. That window where buyers have a little more breathing room may not stay open forever. So here's what we're seeing right now. Buyers who are pre-approved, ready, and clear on their plan are in a much better spot when that rate dip hits. Low rate dips over the last year have already brought more activity. That pattern has shown up. It isn't guessing what's going on. That's what's actually going on. So if you're sitting on the sidelines waiting for that perfect moment, make sure you know what that moment may actually look like. Because when this market starts to thaw, it will move very fast. So if the time in question is keeping you stuck, fill out this form in the description down below today. Brooke and I will walk you through your situation and show you what this market looks like for your next move. You can also reach us directly by email at team@hhgus.com. If you're still weighing where to buy, watch the video linked right here. It covers how Minneapolis is still seeing price gains even with tight inventory. If you want to understand where the momentum is going, that's the video that I would watch next. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video and at the next house.